Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this virtual town hall style event. Before we get started, just a couple of ground rules. I know that people are actively joining, but if you have any questions throughout the event, please do place those in the group chat area, and we will make sure that those are answered. We will start with a quick video in just a couple minutes, and then followed by dialogue, and then you will be separated into breakout rooms. There is nothing for you to do. These will automatically be separated for you, and you will be automatically brought back into the main group after the breakout sessions have ended, followed by some recap and Q&A. This session will be recorded, the main session, and notes will be taken, and a recap will be sent out afterwards. But we're very excited to have you all here today. If you have any questions at all, again, please put those in the group chat. We will make sure those are answered for you. And the best way to view today while you are on Zoom is to click the speaker view. That'll give you the best view of the person who is actively speaking. Without further ado, my colleague Amber Cobb will play this wonderful promo video that is just really great overview of the partnership that we are excited to launch today. Thank you for being with us.
For years, Riot has helped build startup communities that thrive in the modern data economy. We're a tech-forward organization that helps entrepreneurial ecosystems to flourish and grow. And now, we're bringing Riot to Stafford County, Virginia.
Stafford County is home to many incredible minds. Our goal with Smart Stafford is to bridge the gap we've experienced for so long. It's to create a community solely focused around entrepreneurship. But remember, entrepreneurship isn't just about startups. It's about innovation and creativity in business to help them expand their existing market and generate new partnerships. Smart Stafford focuses on the development of 21st century technology and will be a model for the Commonwealth. This means creating new business opportunities to advance an ecosystem of technology and innovation, and to develop a workforce to meet those challenges.
Riot specializes in bringing people together. As a partner, we bring startup accelerators, educational programs, R&D labs, and high-energy events to build networking and learning environments in communities. We've advised and assisted in a variety of tech sectors and established ourselves as a world leader in tech entrepreneurship. We believe Stafford has everything it takes to become its own entrepreneurial center of excellence.
The most important factor to our success is community. Join us as we begin an incredible journey of exploration to connect those entrepreneurs, investors, and other advisors together. The future is here. Welcome to Smart Stafford.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amber. We'll give a bit ahead to Executive Director Tom Snyder.
All right. Thank you, Caroline. And thank you to everyone who has joined us here today. I'm Tom Snyder, Executive Director of Riot. I'll give a quick introduction. But before I get into who we are, we're really excited today to be kind of first publicly and formally announcing partnership with Stafford to drive entrepreneurship and economic growth. The session goals today, though, really are to introduce some of what we have planned, some of what we're exploring, but also very much to hear from everyone that's here in the audience. So we want this to be a very interactive session. I understand that that might be hard to believe when everyone is muted right now, but if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have thoughts, please put those into the chat window. After a brief bit of presentation, which we'll try and hold very short, we are going to break everyone into a number of breakout rooms. When you registered, many of you selected a room. Some of you selected multiple rooms that you'd like to participate in. Unfortunately, we're only going to be able to have you in kind of one room at a time, so not everyone might get into every single breakout discussion that they want to have right now. But we promise this is an ongoing dialogue. It's not going to be just a single event. And the purpose really is to hear from the community. So we're going to present a little bit of information about some of the goals that Stafford County and the greater Fredericksburg region have about creating the entrepreneurial center of excellence that you heard Rachel mention on the video. But we want your inputs. We're not coming in to launch some new initiative and just tell everyone what to do. The goal is to really understand the strengths in this community, the opportunities in the community, and then to talk a little bit about how we come together as an ecosystem to really advance the economy. A little bit about Riot, just to give some framing. We're an economic development focused nonprofit. We're based in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm sitting in downtown Raleigh right now. I wish I could be up in your area, but in an abundance of caution, we've decided to do this at first event as a virtual get together. But our focus is really at looking at where does job creation and new business creation happen? And the reality is that throughout history, that happens at the forefront of technology. As new advances come about, the automobile comes about, the horse and buggy goes away. As new things come along, they are disruptive. We call technologies disruptive because it creates change. And we're in an extremely disruptive time right now with the coronavirus situation, with a renewed reminder of civil injustices and things that have happened throughout our history that we need to correct. There are a lot of things that are going on right now that are forcing change, but underlying a lot of these changes are not only the things that might be happening because of health situations or social situations, but there's always technological advancement. We are moving right now from the last, I would say 3 decades or so or more of internet-driven change in how business is conducted, in how we live our lives, how we manage our banking, how we connect socially. We truly have seen amazing economic opportunity created by the internet era. We're now really moving into the data era. Some folks use the term Internet of Things, and when we formed Riot back in 2014, initially it was the Raleigh Internet of Things. That was our acronym. But we recognize that connectivity and transmitting data wirelessly is approaching zero cost to send significant amounts of data. Data storage is approaching zero cost to store massive amounts of data. Data processing is allowing us to use tools like artificial intelligence and machine learning to sift through data like we've never been able to before and create interesting insights. Machines are able to talk to machines and create automation and robotics that are leading to autonomous vehicles and things. Amazing processing power is enabling augmented and virtual reality. All of this information needs to be protected through cybersecurity. Just about any buzzword that you know of today in the technology sector at some level is related to this shift from internet technologies to data technologies that enable real-time action in enterprise systems, in social systems, business systems, and so on. And these opportunities, or these technologies, excuse me, create incredible opportunity. And the fact that many of these Internet of Things and data technologies are approaching zero cost allows anyone to be an entrepreneur. You don't need to be a deep-pocketed Fortune 50 company or tier 1 university or major world government to leverage the opportunity in front of ourselves. And so we're seeing an explosion in entrepreneurship. So what does Riot do? Riot is an ecosystem builder and community organizer. We have over 85 corporate partners that work in the technology and engineering and software space that understand that every business, whether you're running a food truck or a coffee shop or a boutique or things that you don't think of as tech businesses, well, they really are tech businesses because they're connected by social media algorithms. They're using electronic payment systems to detect credit card fraud. There's all kinds of technology pervasive everywhere. We're an organization that helps people that maybe don't know tech to understand, how do I bring technology into my business? How do I bring data and analytics into my business and succeed? Folks that are already technology experts understand these systems are so complex that you can't do everything to get it yourself, but you're better working together. So how do you connect with partners? How do you connect with new customers? How do you take technology, maybe an expertise in cybersecurity that you've used in the government sector for years, and bring that into agriculture or transportation or education or another market vertical that helps you to grow? So we're an organization that brings people together to help, to teach, to educate. And then we also run a startup accelerator, helping both small businesses, entrepreneurs launch new companies, but also corporations to launch new divisions or new products. So we met the Stafford team some time ago, and I'm going to hand to John Holden here in a moment to talk a little bit about how we met and got together. But we saw the ingredients for amazing opportunity and success across not just Stafford County, but the greater region. And we really love the relationships that we've built so far. We're excited to be partnering as a starting point on a series of events, with this being the inaugural event, to come together to understand what are the strengths in the region that we want to really monopolize on and grow, and then what are the gaps in other areas that we can move into to create a kind of broad, robust ecosystem in job creation and job growth. So we're thankful for everyone being here today. I'll pause now. Again, we'll have plenty of time for some Q&A later in the program. But at this point, I'd like to introduce John to say a few words about this initial partnership, and then also introduce our first couple of speakers. And I think you're on mute, John.
So thank you, Tom. And as many of you know, I hate these things, but it's what we have now. And I really appreciate the way it's brought us together. I mean, there's right now over 100 people, maybe more so, on this call. I'll be very brief before I introduce our official people to welcome us. But many of you know my passion about creativity and the human brain. And that leads to innovation, and that leads to entrepreneurship. And it's all part of how I do what I do in economic development, and how I try to inspire a community and a region to do the same. And so I've been at Stafford just over 2 years, and I knew there was something about entrepreneurship we wanted to foster here with our partners across the region. I didn't know how to do it. And I bumped into Tom and some of his colleagues, and I got to meet them, and it appeared to me exactly the right partner to help do it here. And part of that is because of their approach that Tom alluded to. It's about convening. We are an interesting region. Stafford alone, has this North Stafford Nova thing, but it has this Fredericksburg, South Stafford thing. Then there's the city, Fredericksburg, and of course, King George and our other regional partners. There's a uniqueness here that, in my experience, working in different places, I haven't seen. It's partly how to convene this, how to develop this entrepreneur ecosystem. So some of the gory details is this is a journey hopefully for a long time, but initially for 12 months, we're working with Riot to explore how we do this. And technically we have to write a report on that, but really as we explore how we do it, I think we'll learn to do it. And I know Tom and his team are committed to help us all in this region do that. And again, that's with everyone, with the projects, the programs we have in place. I would just add very briefly, again, about technology, as Tom said. Technology has always been a catalyst for economic and social change. Fire was the first technology. The steam engine and the combustion engine was the first technology. It was another technology. And as Tom said, now data is the latest, if you call it technology. So I'm very excited to have you all. Again, this is a dialogue. I have a few introductions to make here, and then we'll get into the breakout room. So what I'd like to do is introduce and ask Supervisor Meg Bomke, and then secondarily, the chairman of our Stafford Economic Development Authority, Joel Griffin, to welcome everyone from the region, but also on behalf of Stafford. So Supervisor Bomke.
Thank you so much, Tom and John. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Wow, I really appreciate you all taking time out of your busy schedules to participate in this conversation today. And I'm already invigorated by what Tom and John have shared with us. It's just really an exciting day in Stafford that we're going to be launching this new initiative for our entire region. I got to tell you, technology is not one of my strengths. So I find all of this very, very interesting. And I always have the motto, if you don't know how to do it, then you better bring in the experts that do. And I feel like that's what we're doing here today. I want to thank the efforts and the leadership of our Economic Development Authority and Go Virginia for putting this entire project and program together today. And also I want to thank the efforts of our economic development and tourism staff, and thank the other people across the region who are partnering with us in this effort. Just to let a number of you know, if you're not aware, this year Stafford County was selected to be Virginia's first smart community by the Virginia Center for Innovative Technology, which many people refer to as CIT. As the county and CIT, we continue to work together to develop what we call Smart Stafford. And we've begun construction on what is known as the Commonwealth's Smart City Test Bed. That test bed will act as a living laboratory. It's going to be testing emerging technologies in real-world situations and providing a long-term capability that can be used to validate the innovation that we're bringing into its operation, into our Smart Stafford infrastructure. But we don't want to do that until we've actually piloted some developments. For those of you that are familiar with Stafford County, you might notice when you traverse Route 1 up by the courthouse, the old 7-Eleven that's been there for a long time next to the county administration building is now vacant. And that's where our test bed facility is going to be housed. It's also important to me because Stafford County's been working on a downtown Stafford project for the last 18 months. And I so apologize for that phone. The project with the smart city components, and we're really interested in determining what we can achieve in our potential new project. As you know, we can't just construct buildings the way we used to. The public expects so much more from us now, and there's so much technology right at our fingertips, but the vision and the will to use that technology is vital to the success of any of our new projects. We're really poised, we believe, to be a leader in innovation, and not just here in the Commonwealth, but both nationally and internationally. And we believe that the spirit of innovation lives across this shared region, and basically based on what Tom Snyder was just sharing with us. So this event and this partnership with Riot, I feel really comes at a particularly challenging time, you know, for many of our local businesses, and we've got to think out of the box. We're committed to assisting our businesses, our community, and leading our community forward to a brighter, smarter future. I really look forward to today's dialogue and my own breakout session. And I know that many of you in the business world are very familiar with and have become these Zoom experts, and really encourage you to jump in on all the conversation for today. And at this point in time, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Joel Griffin, who's the chairman of our Stafford Economic Development Authority, and also a business entrepreneur in his own right. So with that, it's all yours, Joel.
Thanks, Meg. First off, let me say that my wife echoes your sentiment. Anytime I start a project around the house, she says, if you don't know what you're doing, go hire an expert. So I'm a big advocate and proponent of that. Welcome everyone to the Interactive Town Hall, Shaping the Future of Stafford, and I think importantly, the greater Fredericksburg region. The Economic Development Authority, which I have the privilege of being the chair of, has a long history of supporting small business and small business owners, primarily in Stafford County. The EDA leads the charge in supporting entrepreneurs within the region of all types, but most importantly, we've started several programs recently in the past couple of years, the Veterans Business Boot Camp and the Women and Minorities Business Workshops. If you're not familiar with those, I encourage you to participate those. Those are open to the public. But that is a regional endeavor where we work with Mary Washington University, we work with Germanna Community College, we work with the Small Business Administration. So that is a regional initiative, and it's focused on those that live within our community that want to be entrepreneurs. These programs are focused on those interested in exploring business ownership and leads them through the key steps to developing and financing a startup for a business. Last year, the EDA also added and launched a micro and Gaap financing program for startups and expanding businesses. Reach out to the Economic Development and Tourism Office within the county or the EDA for more information on those. The EDA most recently has made tremendous strides in supporting entrepreneurs by applying and successfully receiving Go Virginia grant that was approved in March. A key highlight of this grant was establishing a partnership with Riot. Riot's the international leader in tech-based entrepreneur development. And this event is our official kickoff of that partnership. This truly encapsulates what it means to create a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem. By connecting municipalities, businesses, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and educational institutions, we're able to identify the needs of our community and develop programs based on those needs. As we begin to look forward during these challenging times, I know you've all seen the economic reports, businesses are facing even more pressure than ever before to innovate. The Stafford EDA recognizes that entrepreneurship and innovation are key elements to a vibrant community and a robust business climate. We are committed to assisting our businesses, whether they be through grants, programs, existing businesses, or new entrepreneurs. As Tom and John and Meg have already said, I encourage everyone to lend your voice to today's conversation and be a part of shaping the future of Stafford and the greater Fredericksburg region. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, both Meg and Joel, for those words. We are, again, incredibly excited. And in the spirit of starting to hear from you, we have a few very short, I think, yes/no poll questions that Caroline, I'll ask you to put out while we bring our next speaker up to the stage. This is what in the startup world we call customer discovery, which is where you teach a company to first go out and understand what are the things that the market needs. So you deliver to market needs, don't try and sell something that, that is a solution looking for a problem. We want to do the same thing as we built this entrepreneurial ecosystem, find what are the things that are already in place that we can grow and what are the needs that we can fill with new programs, with convening and events and so on and so forth. So I'll let people take a quick answer to those poll questions, and then would love to introduce David Irie, who's the CTO with the Virginia Center for Innovative Technologies, CIT, that was mentioned earlier before, to say a few words.
Great.
And I apologize, David Irie. I said Irie and Erie, I think, is the pronunciation.
I respond to many variants there, so yeah. No worries.
Welcome, David.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I really appreciate that introduction. And first of all, let me extend to you and to the whole Riot team a really hearty welcome to the ecosystem. We're glad to have you here. And I'm really pleased to be part of the discussion today because there's so much to talk about. You know, in spite of the challenges that we're all facing, Virginia has one of the most vibrant and successful innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystems anywhere. You can see that in the university programs around workforce development and technology commercialization, such as the Commonwealth Cyber Initiative that helped attract Amazon HQ2 to the region. Microsoft and Google have also announced expansion plans in the region. And certainly anybody who has federal government business wants to be in our area. But it's not just big tech either. From the data centers in Loudoun County to the billions of dollars that Micron is investing in semiconductors in Manassas, to the growing UAV industry, these large industry sectors provide the core business investment and activity that really foster leading edge innovation. There's also huge support throughout Virginia for the entrepreneurs and early stage companies that are so critically important to job growth. We love the fact, of course, that the larger companies are moving jobs here, but overall for the U.S. economy, the historical data for decades show that virtually all the net new job growth comes from early stage companies. And so we have groups like Smart City Works that just did their virtual demo day last week, and Refraction in Tyson's Corner, the Cyberbytes Foundation here in Stafford and Mach 37 that are focused on cybersecurity. We have Lighthouse Labs in Richmond, or the Ramp Accelerator in the Roanoke area, and now Riot as well, providing extraordinary support for early stage innovators. And so let me repeat, welcome to the ecosystem, Tom. We're really excited that you're part of it. The venture investment community is also strong in Virginia. According to CB Insights, our CIT Gaap Funds, who are focused entirely on early stage innovators, have been the most active investor group in Virginia for 5 straight years. Private investment groups also very active. We have 757 Angels in the Hampton Roads area, and Activation Capital in Richmond, and say nothing of the many angel investors in the Northern Virginia area. So, again, we have this robust ecosystem of support system, large industry investors, and places like Stafford and groups like Riot helping to bring that together and help drive economic and job growth. I'm pleased to announce just last night, actually, just saw it today, the publication Business Facilities does an annual ranking of the best states to do business in various sectors. And this is their 16th annual ranking. And so I mentioned workforce development a bit earlier. Virginia ranked number 3 in workforce development. In overall business climate, we ranked number 2. But the ones that we're proudest of, I think, number 1 in cybersecurity, number 1 in unmanned aerial systems. And if I can just take a minute to quote from the article, this year we're introducing a new category that we'll call a flagship ranking from its inception, digital infrastructure. These are the states that are wired for success, having laid the foundation, okay, we'll call it the ultimate database architecture, needed to support the growth sectors that have a voracious appetite for the data in the emerging age of digital transformation. And Virginia is the top ranked state in our first digital infrastructure ranking, a choice made easy by the impressive assets the Commonwealth has deployed to create a gigabit superhighway for data-driven high-tech businesses. So, hot off the press, this is the place to be if you want to do digital infrastructure, if you want to be part of the data-driven in the economy that Tom was talking about. I mentioned our Gaap Funds, so let me just speak for a moment about my organization, about how CIT really helps make all of this happen. CIT is the managing not-for-profit of the newly updated Virginia Innovation Partnership Authority. And we provide leadership for innovation, entrepreneurial, and investment programs across the Commonwealth, often in conjunction with the many partners I mentioned earlier. And our support comes in 4 different areas of operation. So first, the Gaap Funds provides early stage equity investment to technology-based companies with high growth potential. And additionally, as part of that, the Virginia's Founders Fund works to make investment available to traditionally underserved groups of entrepreneurs, including women, minorities, veterans. So an extraordinary match, I think, for what we all hope will emerge here in Stafford County. The second area, the Commonwealth Commercialization Fund, is a grants program. And as the name says, it provides grants to help commercialize intellectual property from universities and early stage companies. Third, our entrepreneurial ecosystem group helps build and coordinate the accelerators, the incubators, the related investment programs across the Commonwealth to help ensure that entrepreneurs can easily find the program that's the best fit for their needs. One important aspect of this group is helping early stage companies understand and gain access to federal funding sources, such as the Small Business Innovation Research, SBIR program. And once again, when I say welcome to the ecosystem to Riot, you're now a de facto member of our entrepreneurial ecosystem. So we know where to find you now, Tom. I lead the 4th area, strategic initiatives focused on new industry development. Currently, this group has 3 major areas. Virginia Unmanned Systems Center at CIT, ranked #1 in the country. A large DHS science and technology program focused around commercial first innovation for new types of digital sensors in support of public safety, IoT. It's a great fit for exactly what we're talking about here. And third, our smart communities work, which is looking to make Virginia the leader, both in providing and in implementing a wide range of technologies that go into smart communities. Certainly doesn't hurt that we're also ranked #1 in digital infrastructure. So, but all this brings me to Stafford County, right? Why is Stafford County so special? And why are we so excited, as Tom mentioned, about the opportunities to really collaborate with, work in the county, work with the county? Why here? Why now? To start, there is the vision and the plan that we heard about earlier for development of a new downtown Stafford or smart Stafford. That's a brand new development that's open to implementing a range of technology and infrastructure and what we expect to be the model for smart communities across Virginia and the country. We hope, I'm certainly hoping to see that groundbreaking happen a bit later this year. So we're ready to rock and roll on that one. Stafford's ideally situated geographically. They're right on the major transit routes, I-95, Route 1, the Virginia Rail Express, VRE rail lines. And they're also at the intersection of critical power grid, internet infrastructure as well. So they're right at the nexus of where a lot of this is happening. Demographically, there's a mix of population density, so we're not just talking high density downtown urban areas, but a range of densities, including more rural areas. And lots of a variety of professional skills, some that are employed locally in the Stafford area, but also support the Northern Virginia Economic Centers. In addition to all that, Stafford has some really interesting historical and also sports-related tourist opportunities. So there's a lot going on in the area. But from my point of view, most importantly has been the great leadership that's there in the county. Over the last 18 months or so, I've had the privilege of working with people from a number of the different county departments, the county schools, certainly John and the economic development team, Mike Cannon, the CEO, the county executive, the board of supervisors, and to a person, they have been extraordinary in their support and their willingness to think about how to make Stafford a leader in the brave new world that we're entering. To support that vision, as you heard, we're close to opening a brand new IoT testbed facility, which I need to stop calling the 7-Eleven and start calling the IoT testbed facility. Right next to the existing government center, just a couple-minute walk from where the new development will take place. And again, this is a living laboratory. We will be testing out all sorts of technologies in this space, and the ones that show their value, those are the ones we'll look to transition into the real-world operational setting. To start, we're going to be showing a whole range of technologies in the test bed. There's a new digital infrastructure we think really addresses some of the security and privacy concerns that everybody has. There are new communication capabilities, some of which actually showed up in the press today around 5G and some broadband for underserved regions of the county. New environmental sensors, including those that can detect wildfire ignition or that can detect flooding and report back, that provide a good picture of what's happening in the environment. We'll be introducing some new capabilities around autonomous systems that we think will help drive growth of the autonomous system, the unmanned aerial system industry in Virginia, with Stafford County as a focal point. And even a virtual Stafford, a capability that crosses over between the real world and the virtual world, that we hope will provide an opportunity for local merchants to have storefronts in the virtual world for people who may not want to come to schools in person, be able to do that remotely. So a lot of exciting things coming up, and stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more around all of those. The test bed's available and focused on innovators and entrepreneurs, and we sure hope, Tom, we're expecting to see a lot of your folks be coming through there and testing out their capabilities. So Stafford County has it all. And through the hard work that's already in place and continuing, we really believe that people from all over the Commonwealth, the country, and the world will want to come here to see what is happening. Why innovation? Why is that important now? Well, we all know the world has changed. Of course, we want to work hard to retain the jobs that are here, regain some of those jobs that have been temporarily lost. But innovation is more important than ever. How we choose to live, the way we do work, the way we travel and interact with each other, the way we educate our kids, the way we consume goods and services, those have all changed, probably irreversibly. So it's not just enough to try and hang on to the jobs and the habits of the past. We need to reimagine and reinvent the future. This is where the new economic growth will come from. This is where a new generation of jobs will be created. And it's not good enough to leave that to someone else. If you're listening to this, you need to be part of the solution, part of defining the future. There's no better time than now. There's no better place than right here in Stafford County, where all the pieces are just waiting for your great ideas. The county is incredibly supportive. The Commonwealth is incredibly supportive. The partnerships to build this new vision are in place. The support systems from Riot and our test bed and others are all here. So, for all of you innovators out there, all you budding entrepreneurs, come on down. Come and talk to us, to Riot, to CIT, to Stafford County. There's a large and a growing ecosystem around innovation and entrepreneurship here in Stafford County and across the region and the Commonwealth. And so with that, let me end back where I began. Welcome to the ecosystem. We're glad you guys are here. For all of you on the town hall, come and talk with us. I'll be in the Smart City Breakout Room, and there are great people to interact with across all of the rooms that have been set up. So thank you, and Tom, with that, back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dave. Really great to feel as welcomed as you and frankly everyone have been in Welcome West community. We feel privileged to be a part of this, but we know we have our work cut out for us, and we're here to work really hard and to contribute and to make a positive change. So let's get started. The next step of what we want to do is really open the dialogue to the whole group. So in a moment, Caroline, who's driving the show for us, is going to put everybody into breakout rooms. We have a variety of breakouts from smart cities, as Dave just mentioned, to entrepreneurship, cybersecurity, a number of different breakouts. No one will have to do anything. Automatically, you'll be put in a room. Each room has got a couple of facilitators that will introduce themselves and get conversation started, but we want to hear from everyone. Now what we'd like to do is really open up to the entire audience to ask questions, particularly of our first speakers. So if you have questions for Riot, that's great, but Dave is here, Meg is here, Joel is here, John is here. For this, because of the audience size, I think what we'd like to do is ask people, if you have questions, if you have comments, go ahead and put them in the chat window, and then I'll ask Caroline to monitor that and then read them aloud so everybody can hear the questions. And then we'll do Q&A for another 15, 20 minutes, as long as there's some healthy discussion before wrapping up and then talking about some next steps on how we continue this post-meeting, post-event.
Thanks, Tom. I know that John wanted Angela Freeman just to share with all the CIT investment in the Fredericksburg River Trail. If you don't mind sharing, Angela.
I might have to defer to David on that one specifically, John. Our IT director has been mainly handling that, but generally I'll say this, for the last couple of years, the the city has endeavored to expand what our use of technology could be and our technology assets, partly driven by a need because we manage our emergency 911 systems as well. And we did have the great fortune of working with CIT before we were doing some new software improvements and rolling out a new ERP system in the city. We explored with CIT really the smart cities concept and did some work with our friends at Mach 37 as well, but really more to embrace the idea of open source data and the opportunities that that could really bring to especially local governments, and by making that data more available and accessible, you also open that up to the community, technologists, businesses to be able to innovate and use that data. And we were really so pleased for a lot of the resources that they put us in contact with. And we were also able to form a partnership with Virginia Department of Transportation and our friends at Germanna Community College and the FredCat Center, which is the Fredericksburg Center for Advanced Technology, to host VDOT's hackathon last year that also focused on using open source data as it relates to transportation and efficiencies, and really came up with some neat, smart ideas and ways that we could possibly use autonomous systems and some of the technology that exists in the private sector now to make our streets safer, and in particular, some of our commercial roadways and strongest corridors. So we look forward to being able to continue to explore some of these things with our partners in Stafford as well as CIT.
Thank you so much, Angela. There were a couple questions I know that Tom answered in line.
And I can elaborate as well if needed, but I thought I would answer a little bit in line while everything else was going.
We have a comment here. It would be great if someone could review some highlights from the Smart City Group breakout. If any of the leaders from the Smart City Breakout Group want to give some high-level overview. And I will note that the general portion of this was recorded, and we also have note takers throughout the breakout room, so there will be a recap sent to everybody.
Sure, Ruthie or Jim, I believe you guys were the moderators for Smart Cities.
Yep, this is Jim. And boy, I'm glad there was a note taker, because I was trying to take notes and moderate, and I probably didn't do a very good job of either. But what impressed me is that there are so many things already going on. So Phil talked about what sounds like a really innovative approach to using some IoT sensors to gather information for education in one of the parks. And that then creates an outdoor classroom for up to 30,000 students. And that in healthcare, Martha talked about the increase in telehealth that's already occurring with a shift in patients, and now hopefully a new level of adoption for folks that have tried that the first time or heard that it really wasn't so bad going to the doctor via Zoom or hopefully WebEx. Sorry, I'm a Cisco guy. And then the other was Kim talking about how monitoring stormwater would be helpful for economic development and real estate. And we talked about Riot's progress working with our friends down in RTP. So it sounds like a lot of really good things going on. We ended and we got sucked out of that room before we could really get to the question David was answering on, as we gather all this data, how do we share it around, among communities and protect the privacy of citizens?
Thank you so much, Jim. We have a question here. What is the main goal of this effort? Identifying the requirement will help build subtasks to achieve the goals. I think John or Tom, if you want to take that one.
Sure.
I'll elaborate on that quickly. That was from our friend Vernon Green in the entrepreneurship session. He was really driving around like, how do we define smart cities, and then how do all these pieces fit together? And if we have the high level goal and definition, then we can drive toward that goal together. So Vernon, if I didn't represent that accurately, please jump in, but that was a fantastic question from Vernon.
John, do you want to step in?
No, ma'am, you identified it exactly correct. I just like she said, if we identify what our goals are, we can break those goals down into subtasks and then divide them up amongst all of these interested parties so that we can show progress. I just would like to know, what is the definition of a smart city and what are we trying to achieve with this group?
Well, that's a big question, Vernon. Thank you. I wouldn't expect anything less. The smart city specifically around, the development of place is one thing, right? So how we use technology to make it a more efficient place. But the broader perspective of this entire initiative is to foster entrepreneurship, whether it be civic or social or private. And much like you do in with your events, it's all about, in my opinion, it's all about keeping everyone in the loop of things. And it's not anyone about taking ownership. It's about sharing those things and building the comfort around our community to do that. In the end, might we develop a new program based on what Riot and particularly Rachel do? We may, but we're going to do that in a way that would complement what Germana's doing, or UMW, or someone in King George. So the real goal of this initiative is to understand all those aspects that are going on in this so that we craft the right thing to help all those, or not, so we don't do anything we don't need to do, right? It's really understanding that environment so that we can suggest what we do next to foster, in my opinion, it's about entrepreneurship, which means business growth. Tom, do you want to add?
Yeah, so let me describe some engagements we've had in some other communities on this smart city journey. I think about work we've done in Cary, North Carolina, and in Wilson, and in Raleigh, and other places where we think of smart cities as there's this technology layer that's enabling the kinds of data-driven kind of outcomes and interactions that I talked about at the beginning of this program. But really, when we think about a smart city, we think about, well, this is a city that is leveraging technology infrastructure to create greater outcomes for their citizens. And how we do that in a very common approach is entrepreneurs and businesses, small and large businesses, have ideas of how to provide better services, but don't always have those connections. So as an example, we worked with a company out of Norfolk, Virginia called Greenstream Technologies that had developed an environmental monitoring platform that they believed could detect creek level changes in time to predict when a road would become flooded, and then feed that information to Waze or other tools that would route people away from a dangerous intersection, or that would give early opportunity for first responders to go to a spot where there might be motorists that get stuck in their cars for driving where they shouldn't, and so on. But these small companies don't know how to engage a city or how to get their technology to interface with core infrastructure in a city. And so we were kind of liaising and helping to connect an entrepreneurial opportunity that created jobs and helped drive business for a small company to a municipality that wanted to provide better services to citizens but didn't want to have to do everything themselves. So a smart city to me is one that is interconnected enough that the city kind of operates as an open platform for business to engage, to drive new citizen services. And, we make intelligent decisions about when should that be done by the public sector and when should it be done by the private sector. And a nonprofit like Riot can help to moderate those discussions.
Can I take a whack at that as well, if I may? So I see the smart communities as sort of an economic engine. And if you look at all the projections for where economic growth and where the high-paying jobs will be, they're all in places that are highly data-driven. And so how do we implement that for Virginia? And we can't just do it in the places that, in Alexandria or in Fairfax County. We need that to be available everywhere in Virginia. If we're back to normal, we can't be spending 4 hours a day on the roads commuting. I mean, that's just not scalable. And so how do we take that economic opportunity and make it available everywhere in the Commonwealth? And the second piece of that is we have both good examples where there's been positive return on our investment. We have the counter examples where people have tried things and they've not worked out so well. We can do it better. And Stafford's got the opportunity to do it better and do it in a way that takes advantage of some of the things that make this region unique. The digital infrastructure, the cybersecurity, the fact that we have a forward-leaning state government that's really looking at new data models. Collectively, we understand how to do this, and the opportunity is right in front of us. So to me, it's really, can we harness all these technologies and all this potential to create those economic opportunities, to create those jobs, and to create them in a place like Stafford, which is, a great place where a lot of people want to live, where costs are reasonable, where there's a lot of local opportunities. That's my take on it. And by the way, our website, CIT.org, has some more information around all our programs and specifically smart communities as well.
Thanks so much, David. We have a question here. What is the plan for catalyzing investment capital for and around our government, business, social impact, and innovation for Stafford's business ecosystem?
Wow. I'll take a stab. There was like 3 parts to that question, but let me start with this. First of all, the Stafford Economic Development Authority, as well as perhaps some others in Fredericksburg and King George, but specifically has created a financing program that's designed in part to do the financing that maybe the banks won't do, whether it be what we call micro or small loan or something that is a little more riskier. We hope to leverage that with some of the resources that David alluded to at CIT for launching new ventures. And a new venture may be out of an existing company, or it may be a startup. So there's that financing piece. In our work in community economic development, we are always looking, our job is to bring investment to Stafford, and as Angela's is to Fredericksburg and our region. So that means going to other resources as well. We look for other federal or private foundations and grants to do things to foster this, but also in some cases to foster business growth. So it's all part of the mix, I guess would be the answer. If I answered I know there's a few parts of that question.
Thank you, John. We had discussed education for business owners and the community in general regarding the new disruptive technology that are driving the types of initiatives we are discussing. Does Riot have an educational component to help people understand what things like IoT, AI, ML, meters, chatbots, etc. are, so they can creatively determine how to leverage them in going forward?
So I'll take that one, and then I may ask Rachel Newberry, who runs our Riot Accelerator, to chime in as well. Fundamentally, Riot is an educational organization. So we are running an event series right now in Stafford, and we're getting to know the community. And at the end of the day, the desired outcome from Riot's point of view is that we're going to help to bring not just the programs that we run ourselves, but also other partners into the area to fill those education gaps and to kind of bolster and strengthen the things that are existing in the area. Rachel, maybe you could talk about the various ways we do that, from Main Street to Lunch and Learn to the Accelerator and so on.
Yeah, happy to elaborate. So we have an open educational series. That's our Lunch and Learn series that we run in several different cities in the Southeast now. that's open to the public. Anyone can come, on every week where we're running an educational program. And then we do things that are more kind of longer term intense engagement. So for Main Street and small businesses, we run what we call the Main Street IoT workshop series. That is designed to help all businesses understand that they are technology businesses on some level, and how they can future-proof their business to not only kind of stay alive and sustain their success through these economic shifts that we see with IoT, but also how to take advantage of those technologies to reach their customers in new ways or solve problems in different ways, and so on. And then we operate the Riot Accelerator program. So that's a 12-week intensive engagement. We provide foundational education for startups that goes from customer discovery and validation through to product development, business development, go-to-market strategy, growth strategy, and so on. And that program provides a lot of heavy one-on-one mentorship to startups as well, to really get them connected to the resources and mentorship that they need to meet their particular milestones. So those are the kind of, those are three big examples of the educational resources that we provide that span not just students and technology and business professionals, but also early stage startup companies and small business owners, et cetera.
If I can jump into everybody, Riot has a great event coming up in September called Developer Month, where we're running a month-long series of great educational sessions to go over new and emerging technologies and demonstrations. And I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat window so everybody can check it out.
Thank you, ladies. So we had a question here. How are these sessions going to be promoted throughout Stafford, and are they free?
Maybe Caroline, I'll let you take that one.
Sure. So I'm Riot's events and operations manager. So Riot has a longstanding tradition of making all of our events free and open to the public. It's really to encourage everyone to be able to join our events. So the best way to find out about these events are the meetup page that Tom mentioned earlier. I posted the link, and we'll make sure that everyone has the link. Theo just posted again. Thank you, Theo. You can also visit our website, riot.org. And of course, we will be following up to this. I know Theo is going to send a recap email, and we'll be in touch, but we're really excited to host a variety of events for you guys, which will all be free and open to the public.
And many of these will also be promoted on Stafford County's website. It's been incredible working with the team so far. They're very creative, very responsive. So you may have seen information about this on Facebook or other social media channels, on LinkedIn. There's a lot of ways to find us, but we'd love for you to sign up to the mailing list, and then you're guaranteed to hear about everything.
Next question. Any thoughts to goals related to how environmental sustainability, physical health, and quality of life will look like within the Smart City Plan, especially with COVID and the need for outdoor space? And she did hear about the river trail mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I can jump in on that one. So, I think if you look at the sort of the ultimate high-level goals, those are really it. Sustainability, quality of life. Right? Those are ultimately what we're trying to achieve. And if it's just technology without achieving those ends, then it's not, it's not the right kind of solution. I think and I also saw a question in the chat window about sustainable energy and renewable energy sources. So those are critical. We've done a fair amount of work with smart building kinds of things, smart street lights, and there's pretty well established use cases that show both positive return on investment for those kinds of things and significant reduction in energy consumption. So that's a start. But I think you layer in the various applications, whether they're around healthcare or whether they're around environmental monitoring, and those each contribute in their own way to the overall quality of life kinds of goals. We've also seen that good access to information helps people make the decisions for themselves about the things they want to do, the resources they need to access. So in a lot of cases, it's enabling people to have access to resources to improve their own quality of life. So we're absolutely on board with that. Those are the right ultimate goals.
Thank you, David. Next question. How can this forum advance downtown Stafford and make the concept a reality?
I was responding to some chats on that. So it's all part of the mix. We're, again, the fact that we're developing with CIT, the Commonwealth's test bed, and we literally can take what we learn and put it across the street. I mean, the opportunity is significant. And as we look to develop with our current developer we're working with and future ones that want to develop in what essentially will be a new zoned urban environment, we will foster and in some case require that they put in smart technology. When we do the public parts of it, the roadways, the poles, we can make those all smart so that they can do, there's things now to encourage appropriate social distancing for open spaces and retail environments. And we want to encourage new commerce that are essentially doing those things. We're on the edge of a whole new retail environment in this world. And we can now, because we are in more or less control of what we do in the new downtown Stafford, we can design those spaces and those buildings and the technology that goes into those so that those new retail environments can locate there, as opposed to repositioning in a new space. We'll have the opportunity to foster that in a brand new, from the ground floor space. It's big thinking. There's a lot of thinking. I think Craig pointed, there's a lot of thinking and financing behind that. I'm the big thinker. So that's why we get the finance experts in to figure out how we do that. But that's the idea of how it works into the quote downtown Stafford.
And following on a little bit to what John said, it's all about the infrastructure too. And because, as David alluded to earlier, we have a chance to start from essentially a greenfield development and build from the ground up. We can put the infrastructure in and we can future-proof that development to really make it unique and grow with time as technology changes.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Question, will oh, they're coming in so quick. Sorry, they're scrolling down. Will locally developed technology / innovation be given an opportunity / priority to be piloted or tested?
Well, David shaking his head. So yes. Again, right now we're getting things started, but the idea is we have a physical space here to test things. And so it's an open environment. I mean, it's clearly, they're going to be, you can't just line up the door. But yeah, if a company has an idea of how to use technology, come see us and we'll plug you into the test bed and figure out how to do it. David, I don't know if you have any other suggestions other than knock on the door.
Yeah, my only answer to that was yes. we absolutely want to encourage local entrepreneurs, local business. I mean, that's part of the physical leverage point of being there and being right in the town center and right next to the new development. Absolutely, we want to build around the community that's already there.
And our programs as well are architected where, to the best we can, we want local entrepreneurs, small businesses to participate economically in their community, to have jobs and opportunities there. That proximity increases probability of success, but we know that most companies require partnerships that might be extra community and, and helping to build that network and those partnerships across, time zones and geographies is important as well. So it really needs to come together. The one other piece I'll add real quickly, in my breakout room, one of the comments that was made is the desire or need for a real kind of communing or convening place for entrepreneurs to get together. Like, where's the physical space where they can meet each other? This is someone who had come from Kansas City and knew the Kauffman Foundation and had known, kind of magnets. And that's part of what Riot is hopeful to do in partnership with Stafford and this new smart city effort, is to find not only how are we connecting digitally, but how are we connecting, face to face obviously in a safe post-COVID way.
I just second Tom's point of, this is where my passion with creativity and innovation happens, right? I mean, now we're bringing a bigger community, all the people that work with Riot to our region. So, there could be a company in, Danville, Tom, that is trying to figure something out, and there could be a company in King George that may have the solution. The fact that we're making these connections may help that company in King George, do its thing, or the one in, it's partnerships. And so that's what really excites me about this.
Thanks, guys. We'll take a couple more before closing remarks.
I see one that says we ought to launch a CIT satellite, which I assume means satellite facility. And anyway, the answer is yes. I've been spending a lot of time in Stafford and intend to do more. So.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Is there a website dedicated to the Innovation Center, and what can be done there? What capabilities will the center host?
I assume that was about the CIT when you say Innovation Center. So, I mean, again, I'll let David answer, but they're statewide. I think he's down here once a week now. So, and we like that. Again, the test bed will kind of be a branch of CIT, if you will. I think all their, the programs are available statewide. It is about convening people, and that's part of what we're doing here. David, do you want to comment?
Yeah, so two things. I agree totally with that, right? And to Tom's comment as well, the at least hopefully again in the future, in the near term, the ability to bring people together in a physical space is really important, and that's how you build the strongest kind of core networks of people. What can you do in that test bed? We'll have a full digital infrastructure, so people with new sensors can plug them in and try them out. They can try them out in different security settings. People who have new software applications, there'll be a place to do that. Across the range of capabilities, people who have ideas about infrastructure, whether it's internet infrastructure, power infrastructure. I think it's pretty wide open in terms of digital technologies and the related kinds of things in the various use cases, whether education, telehealth, and how to explore those in that context. I saw, by the way, scrolling by, a question from Theo about the Virginia Innovation Partnership Authority. So that's there's been a long-standing authority in the Commonwealth that allows CIT to do things in some unique and different ways than state agencies. For example, the kinds of equity investment programs that I mentioned. So the Virginia Innovation Partnership Authority is a new formulation of that that just came into effect July 1st. But for us, it's a continuation of the kinds of partnerships and the kinds of work that we've been doing. In some ways, it expands that charter and helps move it forward. So I think it's a real ongoing enabler for the kinds of things we were talking about.
Thanks so much, David. We do have a question about the chat, and I just confirmed with Theo that we will save the chat and he will send that out in his recap. And I think that will close us out for questions. So I'll give it back to Tom and John for a closing statement.
All right. Thank you, Caroline. Great.
Jump in.
Oh, go ahead. Jump in.
Hey, this is Meg Bomke. I just wanted to add on here that for all the people that are listening, all the participants, if you have not had an opportunity to go to CIT's website, I really recommend that you do that. You can really see all the complex grants that they have issued in all the different categories, and it's actually really very invigorating to see the work that's been done. And they even have a category of what they've done just since COVID hit. So I recommend you jump on there and look at that. Thank you.
Thanks for the shout out.
All right. Thank you, Meg. Thanks everybody for joining. It's amazing. We have had actually very little attrition over an almost 2-hour session online, which is, I know, grueling. So thanks to everyone for hanging around, for joining the discussion, for offering your thoughts. We're incredibly excited as I said, we want to be a dialogue that continues and has momentum, and not just, this was a 2-hour event and then we go back and never think about this again. So watch for more events that are coming out. Join the Riot Virginia meetup page or our newsletter. Continue to monitor and engage with Stafford County and the greater Fredericksburg region through their communications channels, where they'll hear about these kinds of things and promote the next events, the next things. If you would like to reach out, directly and see how can you get involved, either personally or your company or organization, you can find us at riot.org. We would love to have that conversation. We will be frequently in region, particularly as hopefully we start to bring the R0 down below 1 and start to have a lower and lower number of COVID cases over time. But again, I want to say thanks to everyone that has participated today, all of the folks behind the scenes that made this a successful session. There was an incredible amount of work that went into this. But we're just incredibly excited about the potential in this region. From the community college system to Mary Washington to support from Go Virginia and CIT and other statewide organizations, to the talent that we have seen and the people that we've met in our initial visits up to the region. Really can't be more excited about doing what small part we can to help in your economic growth. But we're here to serve. So as you have ideas, as you have thoughts, please reach out, continue to share them. We will have a recap that we'll publish out once we collect all the notes from all the breakout rooms. So everyone that was registered, you will get at least one spam email with that information. I hope you'll find it all to be very useful. But if you have thoughts or questions post-event, as we mentioned before, post them into the comment section on the event page on the Meetup platform, or reach out directly to us on email. John, I'll let you give any closing remarks, and David and any of the other speakers, if you have any closing remarks, you're welcome to share them as well.
And while they're doing that, I'm going to launch the last poll, guys. One last poll for you.
Thanks, Caroline.
I want to thank everyone at the Riot team, my team, and our partners who put this together. But I want to emphasize that this is just the start. We'll have some immediate thank you, but then we'll have, give us maybe a couple days for all the notes and what's going to happen next. We're going to have more events, as Tom said, and we'll custom those to what we learned today and then go forward. And it's really about the communications and environment to foster this. So I'm looking forward to many months of this kind of activity, and in the day, fostering, I'll call it social or business entrepreneurship. So I'll leave it at that and offer any final comments from Dave or if Supervisor Momke would like that anything at the end.
I'm just excited to be part of this collaboration. There's so much going on, and the potential is huge. So I'm looking forward to continuing to be part of it. Thanks a lot.
Ditto that comment.
All right. Well, thank you again, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll be talking again soon.